everybody, welcome back to the Montana garage. I was just out here in the home garage digging around for some parts in the Chevy back here, and I'm getting ready to go out to the shop, so I thought, you know what, I haven't made a video in eons it seems, so time for a little update. I don't know why every video seems to start with me saying I haven't made a video for a while, but I guess I'm consistent at that. But let's head out to the shop and get you caught up on progress, or actually lack of progress. But as you see, winter is you know, here in Montana, 15 degrees or something today, I think. Like I said, I haven't really been up to much, and that's why there hasn't been many videos, but let's get you up to speed. I guess maybe because we're outside, we'll start with this guy back here. DD Speed Shop 57 is buried in the snow. I did drive it quite a bit this summer. Made a few small changes. I started making a couple videos of some things I was doing on that, but every time I did it, I lost a little footage or something really wasn't working out. So I've made a few, nothing crazy, but I fixed some stuff with the seats, a little bit of wiring, messed with the shifter a little bit, and yeah, I just kept losing footage because my SD card is garbage or something. Hopefully more footage on that coming soon. Let's head in the shop here and see what's going on in here. What the heck is this disaster? Well, it's a disaster. I talked earlier, my son got his archery bowl, so he's in the process of cleaning up his skull. I just got done with a big tile job, and I had to take my truck to the shop, so my trailer is back there behind the snowmobile trailer. Didn't want to carry all that stuff through the snow, so I just dumped it in here. I'll have to load it up and head it off to the next job here in the next day or two, so just gonna be in the way for a little bit. Snowmobile covers laying there, and Hill 55 is pretty much how I left it when I showed you guys the wheel reveal video. I'm not trying to hide the wheels anymore. I was just doing some welding out here and I didn't want sparks flying on it. But I have done a little bit of stuff. Let me show you and we'll be all caught up. All right, got a little bit of junk here. I still have junk scattered in here. Oh, and you can see it's not even warm enough in here to melt the snow that I drag in. It was 28 degrees when I came out here a little bit ago. Now we're up to what, 40, 50-ish or so, or 42, 46. I had the heat rolling for a while. I got it shut off now because it's kind of noisy, but yeah, winter, man. I guess if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be, how's that saying go? If you're gonna be stupid, you gotta be tough. If you're gonna be, I'm not even smart enough to figure out the saying. You're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. I'm too dumb to insulate this place, so I guess I'm gonna have to be tough. I got my long johns on, hoodie, try to get it warm enough out here to work a little bit, but that's one of the reasons I haven't got too much done. It's just freaking cold out here, and when you only have a couple hours at a time, by the time it gets warm enough out here, it's not worth coming out. So that's one of my excuses. I have many, don't worry. Anyways, what have you got done? A little bit of brake line stuff. So I have just a cheap, I don't know where I got that, Summit probably, Amazon, who knows. Just a cheap brake line bender. I finally got a couple rolls of brake line and some fittings and whatnot a while ago. So I've been out a little bit kind of messing with this stuff. So I had to make these lines, and then we got a line running here, and then hooked up the braided line to the disc brake. I kind of said this before, I think it's kind of fun messing with this stuff. I'm no expert. I think I did each of these a couple times, but I got them, you know, okay-ish. I didn't go with the big loop-de-loops that everybody, or not everybody, some people put in there, and I think that's because they say there's a little bit of movement between the body and the frame, but that's minimal, and there's a little bit of slack in these. I don't know, you can tell me if I should have done that, but I know everybody doesn't do it, and I think it, I don't know, I just like the way it looked like this, so hopefully that's fine. I have this line running across the bottom. I was gonna run that on the back of this cross member so you couldn't see it, but then I didn't really have room to get, you know, the drill and stuff in there, because I'm gonna put some of these little clamps like this guy here to hold it in place. So this is kind of roughly bent into place here, and we'll put some clamps on it. I still have to finish this end. So that's kind of where we're going to pick up here, working on this brake line, and then the rear brake line will come out of the proportioning valve. The brake lines originally ran down the passenger side frame rail, but I'm just gonna shoot right down the driver's side frame rail there. And then I still don't have the rear end, so I'm gonna run the line back, probably leave it a little bit long and kind of stop it kind of where it needs to be, because I need the rear end in there and then the flexible hose and all that good stuff. But we can get that line kind of ran, and we'll be mostly done with the brake line. So to flare the brake lines, I bought one of these handy dandy little brake flare tools, and there's a bazillion videos on YouTube, or I've seen quite a few of people showing you how to use this, but we got to flare a couple more, so I will probably add that in here in case you haven't seen it. It's a pretty handy dandy little tool. It was a couple $100, but I mean, if you're going to be making brake lines, you got to have a way to make the flares. That's about it. We're caught up. Maybe I'll give you a list of a few more excuses why I haven't got anything done. All right, does anybody else ever feel like life just kicks them in the nuts every once in a while? Like every time I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit ahead, something happens. And usually it's, you know, health related, or I have some sort of accident, or I break a leg, or I've had a history of every couple of years something major happening. And that's getting kind of old. Anyways, things could always be worse, right? I mean, I want to say that, you know, my problems are nothing compared to what a lot of people are going through. You know, my family's healthy, I'm healthy, I got a good job, I got a roof over my head, I got a little bit of money to play with hot rods. It's easy to focus on how things could be better. You want this, you want more. You kind of lose track on how, you know, if you had less, and you know, how things could always be worse. So I'm thankful for where I'm at. I feel like I'm smart enough, you know, like I should be able to get a little further ahead than I am, but I guess I'm not, because here I am, right here where I'm at. But anyways, things are going pretty good. I was working on the car a little bit. You know, we've been busy. It's been hunting season. I've been taking my son hunting, and then the snow showed up recently, so we've been snowmobiling a little bit. The guy's got a job, right? So I got to work all the time. I had some time set aside to work on the car, and then I had a buddy call that needed some help with a tile job, and it was a pretty significant sized tile job, but I gave up my time that I was going to use to thrash on the car to do that job. But then, yeah, instead of time, I had some money. So then I was going to have a little bit of money to buy the parts I need. I was really going to have the money to buy everything I needed to finish this dang thing, except for paint. But you don't need paint, right? That's optional. That's for fancy people. But anyways, I was going to order the rear end and the wiring harness and some seats and a roll bar, and you know, there's a whole bunch of little things, but those are the major things I needed. And I was pretty much getting ready to order those things, and then yeah, I had a little episode with the old ticker. So technically, I guess I have like a heart disease. I've talked about it before. I have a defibrillator in my chest, and my heart goes crazy, and then this shocks it back into rhythm. And I was starting to have a couple little issues, and I was talking to the doctors and what's going on, and we were trying to kind of come up with a plan. And I'm basically protected because this thing's in here, so they weren't too worried about it. But then sudden one night, yeah, my heart just started, you know, kind of going haywire, and this thing wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So I ended up in the emergency room, and they couldn't handle it at this little hospital here in town. So they had to transfer me to another hospital, and the roads were crappy. The ambulances wouldn't do it, so they had to fly me. Like, it's a 3-hour drive, but they had to fly me to another hospital where they had the right doctors to handle it. And then I had to stay in that hospital for 3 or 4 days while they figured it all out and got me some new medication. Anyways, everything's good. I'm back to normal. I'm back to work. I've been snowmobiling. They just got me on some medication. It kind of saps my energy a little bit, and that kind of sucks. And I feel like I'm really old and out of shape. And I am really old, but I'm in decent shape. But it kind of takes away a little bit of that because it doesn't let your heart speed up. Anyways, everything's good. I just lost a little bit of time, and then now I'm sitting here waiting to find out if the insurance is going to pay for, my wife has a good job and good insurance, but we don't know yet if it's paying for the life flight. And that's like a $30,000 freaking 45-minute plane ride. So kind of on hold on spending money on the car now until we figure that all out. But anyways, I don't want to go into a bunch of detail. I'm not looking for sympathy or whatever. People just been asking me where I've been and what's going on. And anyways, that's where I've been, and that's what's been going on. But now I'm back, and even if I can't order the parts I wanted, I got plenty of stuff I need to do, you know, without spending money that just needs to be done. So I just need to get out here, stop whining about the cold, and get some work done. And that starts right now. So let's get some crap we need out, and let's finish this brake line. Get started on that brake line. We're gonna clean up a little bit of the crap out here. I'm gonna deal with my tools later, but just my hot rod tools, get them cleaned up. And oh yeah, I did come out one day and do a whole pile of welding because, like I said, I thought I was ordering my roll bar, and I'm not an expert welder, so I wanted to practice up. Not looking too bad. Ooh, that was loud. Anyways, I don't know where that came from, but let's get to work. All right, I said I was going to stop whining about the cold, and I'm not whining, but I'm just going to turn the heater back on because it is cold out here. Let's see if we can get rid of a little bit of this dust. That's better. So I ended up going with this nickel copper brake line, and it is like super easy to work with. Like this piece here, that's just all bent by hand. You know, I have this little tubing bender, and I need that for these tighter bends, but just rough shaping it. It's super easy to bend. The thing I don't like about it is it comes in a coil. Now, I think you could probably get straight pieces of it too, or I know you can because I was looking for some brake line here in town and they had some straight pieces of this stuff, but so it's hard to get straight. So like this little run here, it'd be nice, You know, that's got like a little bend in it. I sit there and keep tweaking with it, but it's hard to get all them little bends out of it, at least for me. Now, I tried drilling a hole in a 2x4 and running it through there and trying to use that to straighten it. And you can just, I can only get it so straight. So that's the one downside to me, but I guess it's supposed to be more corrosion resistant and it is easier to work with. I think all this turned out okay, you know. I did learn that, so I had to redo this piece because on my fitting down here, I have these little brake line ends that go in here. This one, let's see if I got another piece left over here. Because I had to redo. Yeah, so if you look at this piece, this was some other just steel brake line I had when I first made, like that was one of these guys. I didn't know this stuff, but this has, see how long that fitting is versus that one. So in this little T-junction block I have, I made this line and I had one of these smaller fittings on here. Maybe I should have another one for comparison that you can see at the same time, so then you can see what I'm talking about. Maybe everybody else already knows this, but again, I've never messed with this stuff, so I didn't know it, so maybe it'll save somebody some time. So here is, sorry for the crazy camera action, there's that longer fitting and this shorter one. So I had a shorter one put on here, and I think because this T has like a longer extension on it, the shorter one wouldn't bottom out, like it got all the way tight and this was still loose. It wasn't making it seal, so I had to redo this line and put one of these longer fittings on there. I don't know if you're gonna run into that anywhere else, but that's what happened to me. Everywhere else I've been able to tighten them up with the shorter ones. I had the longer ones up here on the line lock at first, but the smaller ones did eventually tighten up. I just had to suck away in there. So anyways, watch out for that. Maybe you already knew, I don't know, I didn't know. All right, so where we're at now is this piece. I have it, you know, bent pretty well over here on this end where it goes into that T, and I have it kind of roughly shaped where I want it. I need to kind of check it out and get it as symmetrical as I can, and then we have to still address what I want this side over here to look like and exactly what's going on there. And we got to put some of these little clamp guys in here to hold this in place. So I've done a couple little tweaks by hand, and I got this mostly where I want it. So now I'm going to get my little clamps. I'm going to clamp it down probably here in the center, probably on each one of these little high spots, and then probably once more back on the frame rail somewhere, whatever I got to do to make sure it's held in place and it's not, you don't want it rubbing obviously on the metal or whatnot. So I'll get that kind of clamped where I want it, and then I still have to kind of figure out this bend exactly how I want it to. Kind of want maybe a little tighter bend like it has on this side. So I'll get this all clamped where I want it, and then we'll figure out how to bend this. And then this piece, you see it's long, so I need to figure out that bend, and then we'll have to figure out where to cut it and take the clamps back off, and then take it over to the flare tool and put a fitting and a flare on this end. Oh man, I hope I don't forget to put the fitting on there. It's supposed to happen to everybody. It hasn't happened to me yet, so probably just jinxed myself. So here's the little clamps I bought. These actually have like they're like a two-piece deal. So it actually holds the brake line off the frame. First I bought these guys, and these are probably fine. Same theory, but these are just a one-piece deal. I'm not gonna open them because I'm gonna send them back, but basically it just has the top piece and it just clamps, you know, to the frame, so your brake line is going to be right on the frame. Whereas with this piece, it kind of isolates it a little bit above the frame, so it's still touching the clamp, but then you're going to have airspace everywhere else. I kind of like that better. So other ones are probably fine. I mean, I'm sure lots of people use those. These were probably a little more expensive. I can't remember, I've had them for a while, but anyways, they come with a little machine screw or whatever. So I got a drill and I got a tap. I could just use self-tappers, I'm sure too, but I grabbed the right size taps. We'll drill a hole, drill and tap into the frame wherever we want to put those. We'll go from there. All right, here's the little tap. It says to use a number 29 drill bit. I don't know what the hell that is, and all my drill bits are in fractions. So I have 7/64, and the next one is 1/8. 7/64 looks maybe just a hair small. 1/8 looks maybe just a hair big. So we'll start with a 7/64 hole, and then we'll try to tap that. And if it's too tight, we'll go to a little bigger one and see what happens. All right, Google tells me a number 29 drill bit is 0.1360, or approximately 1/8 inch rounded down. So that's what I thought. I thought the other one was too small, so we'll try the 1/8. Oh, I guess I should have brought a hammer.
All right, so I'm going to put the first one just right in the center of these two holes. Approximately in the center, I guess. All right, I found my little, whatever that's called, tap holder tool thingamabobber doohickey. It's helpful if I could just hold it straight up and down instead of wiggle all over the place, but hopefully it'll still work eventually. And I think the hole is just a little small. I finally got it to grab. Alright, now I gotta find a little Allen wrench that size. Got lucky on that deal and found one right away. And it even feels like it's gonna work. So let's see. I got a bottom and a top on this guy. Alright, probably should, I guess, throw a little Loctite on those too, maybe, huh? But we're going to be undoing it for that end, so we'll do that when we put it together final assembly. And it still isn't lined up on itself perfectly, but we'll address that later too. So again, I'll try to kind of bend around what I need to do, and then we'll do another one here and here and somewhere up on the frame rail, and we'll bring you back and see how it looks in 3 or 4 days when I get it done. There we have it all clamped in place, and then I think I got this rebent how I like it, so we just got to flare that end. I started out with just putting one of these. I was going to just put one in the center, but there's a hole right here, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Put this one on this side and cover that hole, but then it kind of wanted to rub on this other inside hump, so I just stuck another one on the inside of each one. So, you know, I think it looks all right, mostly symmetrical, and she's held down pretty good, not rubbing anywhere. So we'll take her all back apart and take this line over to the flare tool in the vise, and we'll flare this end, and we'll be done. So I got the brake line off the car. First thing I'm going to do is put this fitting on here, because you don't want to forget that. And then the next thing, I already did it, is you want to clean up the inside of the cut there with your little deburring tool. Now the one thing I might be messed up on here is you want to make sure you don't have a bend too close to the end, because you can't get it in the flaring tool right. But I'm going to be close on that. I may have to straighten this back out and then re-bend it. So this guy slides out of there, that guy opens up. You got different dies or whatever for whatever you're trying to do. This will do double flares, single flares, or bubble flares. Or, I don't know. We're doing double flares right now on 3/16 line, and hopefully this is going to work. You guys are going to be right in the way. Yeah, so I'm going to have to straighten this last bend out a little bit. It's a bummer because it's exactly how I liked it, but hopefully I don't screw it up now. This stuff is pretty easy to bend, but you can pinch it, and I had a pretty tight bend there, so pretty close, just a hair more. Let's see, actually it's got to go all the way out to the end, doesn't it? Even with there, so I gotta go even further. Double check it. Yeah, I gotta get a little further. It would work without the fitting, but that's no good without the fitting. I was kind of thinking I might be messing up by bending that when I did it, but thought I was good. It looks good without the fitting, and then you put the fitting on, then you realize it's pretty short to that bend. So close.
I could have flared this before I bent it all up, but I thought I was going to have to retrim it, but I actually ended up leaving it exactly the size that it was. I wish I would have done it that way. All right, now we're good. So there's only one way these guys will go in here. So operation 0, I can't really show you because I'm holding this stuff, but it has just a flat end. Before you tighten this down too much, so that gets the end of the brake line right where it needs to be. And then you switch to, we got 3/16 line, operation 1. Pull the old lever until she bottoms out. My vise needs tightened up. And then go to operation 2, 3/16. Same thing. Until she bottoms out. Loosen that bad boy. Get out of there. And you should have a perfect flare. I'd say she looks pretty good. So now we gotta take it back to the car, get it all back in place, and figure out this last bend again. But we should be able to figure that out, hopefully. And wha-bam! Front brake line is all done. Hooked back up, clamped in place, Loctited, hooked to the flexible brake line. It goes to the caliper. That's it for the front brake lines. Rear brake line is next. I'll probably do that tomorrow or later tonight still, but I probably won't film that. It's kind of hard to film from under the car. It's just more of the same stuff. So we'll probably call this video here short and sweet, I know, but I just want to get something out because you guys have been asking where I'm at and what's going on. Hopefully this video kind of updated you on that stuff. And I say this all the time, but I am going to try to get more videos out more consistently and actually get some more work done to this. Like I said, we're waiting on parts, but there's plenty to do, you know, without any parts coming. I got lots of stuff to do, and if you come on back to the next video, you'll see what that is. Thanks for watching. Like, share, tell a friend, all that stuff. Subscribe, hit the little button. Thanks.